Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World, fellow coin enthusiasts. Have you ever thought that a simple penny could be worth thousands of dollars? It might sound like a stretch, but trust me, it's true. Today, we're talking about one of the most fascinating coins in modern US history, the 1980 Lincoln penny. This coin, which many people simply toss aside without a second thought, can actually be worth far more than its 1 cent face value. Stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll see just how valuable that little copper coin from 1980 could actually be. Let's rewind the clock and take a quick trip back to 1980. The United States was in the middle of a decade marked by significant economic and political changes. The country was dealing with high inflation, the energy crisis, and the aftermath of the Vietnam War. It was a time of challenge, but also of innovation and progress. In the world of coins, the 1980 Lincoln penny was being minted during the early years of President Jimmy Carter's administration. It was a time when the penny, despite its humble stature, continued to play an essential role in the U.S. economy. At the time, the 1980 Lincoln penny seemed like just another regular piece of currency, used for small transactions and everyday purchases. The design, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, was the same as it had been since the 1950s. Nothing about this penny suggested that it would someday be a coveted collector's item, but over the years, things have changed. The value of the 1980 Lincoln penny, along with other coins from that era, has skyrocketed for collectors, primarily due to the rarity and condition of certain coins. Now, you might be thinking, what makes the 1980 penny special? After all, millions were produced, right? Well, you're absolutely right, millions of 1980 pennies were struck by the US Mint. But just like with many coins from the 20th century, it's not the quantity that matters, it's the condition and the potential for unique features that can make a coin valuable. Let's first talk about the condition of the 1980 Lincoln penny. Most of the pennies you find from this era will have seen years of circulation. They've likely been through countless transactions, bouncing around in pockets, and showing signs of wear and tear. But there's a reason why certain coins are worth more. Condition is key. If you manage to find a 1980 Lincoln penny that's in uncirculated or near perfect condition, you might be looking at a coin that could fetch more than you ever imagined. Coins that are uncirculated or in near mint condition are highly sought after by collectors. These coins are typically ones that were never used in circulation, meaning they have been kept in pristine condition since the day they were minted. They show no signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. If you're lucky enough to find a 1980 penny that has been carefully preserved, you could be holding onto a small treasure. And that's where the value begins to rise. But wait, there's more. Aside from the condition of the coin, there's something even more exciting that can make a 1980 penny worth a lot more money: minting errors. Minting errors are one of the most thrilling aspects of coin collecting. These are mistakes made during the minting process, and they make a coin unique and much more valuable. The 1980 Lincoln penny, like many coins from this era, was struck in large numbers, but some were accidentally minted with errors that could be worth thousands of dollars today. One of the most common errors you might find on a 1980 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once, resulting in a doubled image on the coin. In the case of the Lincoln penny, this error can often be spotted in the date, where the numbers might appear to be doubled or slightly blurred. This can also appear on other parts of the coin, such as the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." A 1980 penny with a double die error is a rare find and one that collectors are eager to get their hands on. Another minting error to watch for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off. This gives the coin a unique and incomplete look that makes it stand out. An off-center 1980 penny is an error that can be worth significantly more than a regular penny, especially if the misalignment is severe. Even beyond minting errors, the 1980 Lincoln penny has been an object of interest to collectors due to its relatively small mintage numbers compared to other years. While the 1980 penny was produced in the hundreds of millions, many of these coins have become worn down or damaged over time. That means finding one in excellent condition, especially one that has been well preserved, makes it a rare and valuable commodity in today's market. Now that you know what makes the 1980 Lincoln penny special, you're probably wondering, how much could it be worth? Well, if you have an uncirculated 1980 penny, you might be looking at a value that's already higher than its face value. But if you happen to have a rare error coin, whether it's a double die or off-center strike, you could be sitting on a small fortune. Are you ready for the big reveal? A 1980 Lincoln penny, in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, or one with an extraordinary minting error, could be worth as much as $30,000, that's right, $30,000. It's incredible to think that a coin that was once worth just 1 cent could now command such a high price. But in the world of coin collecting, anything is possible. So, the next time you come across a 1980 penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. You never know, it might just be worth more than you think. Today, we're diving into a truly fascinating piece of American currency, the 1966 Lincoln penny. While most people may think of a penny as just pocket change, there's so much more hidden beneath the surface of this small coin. The 1966 Lincoln penny might seem like just another date in the long history of U.S. coins, but believe me, this penny could be worth far more than you'd expect. Stick around, and by the end of this video, you'll find out just how much this little copper coin could fetch in today's market. Let's start by talking about the year 1966. The world was changing rapidly, politically, socially, and economically. The United States was deeply involved in the Vietnam War, the civil rights movement was making strides, and music was beginning to enter a new era with the rise of rock and roll legends. It was a time of great turmoil, but also a time of immense cultural growth. For the U.S. Mint, it was just another year of producing coins for the everyday American. The 1966 Lincoln penny was part of this monumental era in history, but little did anyone know at the time, it would become a coin of interest for future collectors. The design of the 1966 Lincoln penny was, as you might expect, very similar to other pennies of the time. On the obverse, we see the well-known profile of Abraham Lincoln, who has been the face of the penny since 1909. The reverse features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which had been used on pennies since 1959. There's nothing particularly extraordinary about the design, but it's what happened to this penny over time that gives it special appeal in the world of coin collecting. Now, let's talk about why the 1966 Lincoln penny is becoming so desirable. First and foremost, it's a matter of rarity and condition. Most of the pennies minted in 1966 were circulated and used as everyday currency. Over the decades, these coins have passed through countless hands, been dropped on the ground, and endured the wear and tear that comes with regular use. But not all of them were so unlucky. Some have been kept in pristine condition, carefully stored away by collectors or simply preserved by chance. The key to a coin's value lies in its condition, and the 1966 Lincoln penny is no exception. If you're lucky enough to have a 1966 penny that's in uncirculated or near mint condition, you could have a much more valuable coin on your hands than you might think. Coins in perfect condition, free from scratches, discoloration, and other forms of damage, are highly prized by collectors because they are much rarer than those that were heavily used in circulation. When it comes to the 1966 Lincoln penny, uncirculated coins are particularly sought after, but condition isn't the only thing that can make a 1966 penny valuable. One of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is the discovery of minting errors. These are mistakes that occur during the production process at the U.S. Mint, and they can turn a seemingly ordinary coin into something truly extraordinary. The 1966 Lincoln penny, like many coins from that era, is known to have a few interesting error types that could significantly increase its value. One of the most notable errors for the 1966 penny is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice during the minting process, causing the design to appear slightly doubled or blurry. If you look closely at a 1966 Lincoln penny, you might notice that the numbers in the date, Liberty, or even the motto, "In God We Trust," are slightly doubled. This could indicate that the coin was struck with a double die, which is a coveted feature for collectors. A 1966 penny with this error could be worth a small fortune, depending on the severity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin. Another potential minting error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not aligned properly during the minting process, causing part of the design to be missing or off-center. An off-center strike on a 1966 Lincoln penny can make for a very interesting and unique coin, as the design will appear incomplete or misaligned. Collectors love these types of coins because they are one of a kind and cannot be replicated. If you find a 1966 penny with an off-center strike, it could be worth much more than its face value. It's also worth mentioning that the 1966 Lincoln penny is part of a transitional period in U.S. coinage. In 1965, the U.S. Mint began experimenting with different metal compositions due to a shortage of silver. This was the year the composition of the penny changed from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc to a predominantly copper-plated zinc composition. The 1966 penny, being made from this new composition, stands as a historical marker for coin collectors. Although most 1966 pennies are copper-plated zinc, there have been a few oddities with copper pennies from this year, which only adds to their appeal. So, how much is a 1966 Lincoln penny really worth? Most of the 1966 pennies you'll find in circulation today are worth just 1 cent. But if you have an uncirculated 1966 penny, or perhaps one with a minting error like a double die or off-center strike, you could be sitting on a rare and valuable coin. The value of a 1966 Lincoln penny in pristine condition or with an error can range dramatically based on its specific characteristics, but if you're lucky enough to have a particularly rare example, it could fetch a significant amount at auction. And now, for the exciting reveal. Are you ready? If you happen to have a 1966 Lincoln penny that is in exceptional condition or has a rare minting error, it could be worth as much as $40,500. Yes, you heard that correctly, $40,500. It's incredible to think that a coin that was once worth just 1 cent could have such a high price tag attached to it today. So, the next time you're going through your change or cleaning out that old coin jar, make sure you take a second look at those 1966 pennies. You might just have a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Today, we're about to reveal an exciting secret that could change the way you look at your spare change. Most of us have probably tossed a penny here and there, but did you know that a simple penny from 1993 could be worth thousands of dollars? That's right. A 1993 Lincoln penny could potentially fetch a price that will blow your mind. If you're a coin collector or just someone who's interested in the hidden treasures around you, this video is for you. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why that 1993 penny in your pocket might just be worth a lot more than you think. Let's first take a quick look back to 1993. The world was a different place, technology was advancing, the internet was starting to become a household name, and the world was seeing major political changes. In the United States, Bill Clinton was beginning his first term as president, and the economy was starting to show signs of growth after the recession of the early 90s. It was a time when the U.S. Mint was hard at work, producing billions of coins to meet the needs of the country. Among them was the 1993 Lincoln penny, a coin that may seem simple on the surface, but has a lot of potential for collectors. The design of the 1993 Lincoln penny is the same as it had been for decades. On the obverse, we have the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, who has graced the penny since 1909. The reverse features the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which was used on pennies from 1959 to 2008. It's a design that has stood the test of time, with Lincoln's likeness symbolizing the legacy and leadership of the 16th President of the United States. While the design may seem familiar, the value of the 1993 penny is anything but ordinary. If you've been collecting coins or paying attention to the market lately, you might know that certain years of coins, especially pennies, can be worth far more than their face value. But what makes the 1993 Lincoln penny so special? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and sometimes, unexpected minting errors. Let's talk about rarity first. In 1993, the U.S. Mint produced over 8 billion pennies, which means that the 1993 Lincoln penny is not exactly a rare coin in terms of quantity. However, that's not the whole story. Over the years, most of these pennies have been used in everyday transactions, exchanged, dropped, and worn down. It's the coins that have been kept in pristine condition, often stored away by collectors, that are in high demand. These uncirculated pennies are significantly rarer than their circulated counterparts, and that's what makes them worth much more. If you happen to have a 1993 Lincoln penny that has been well preserved in its original condition, free from scratches, discoloration, and any form of damage, you could have something truly valuable on your hands. Coins like this are sought after by serious collectors, and their value can skyrocket compared to regular, worn-down pennies. The better the condition, the higher the price it can fetch at auction or in the market, but condition is only part of the equation. Let's dive into something that every coin collector loves to talk about: minting errors. Minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting because they make a coin truly unique. These errors happen when there's a mistake in the coin production process, and the result is a coin that looks different from the others. Minting errors are often what set rare coins apart from the rest of the pack, and the 1993 Lincoln penny is no exception. Some of the most common minting errors found on 1993 pennies are double dies and off-center strikes. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or worn out, causing the image to appear doubled. In the case of the Lincoln penny, this could result in doubling of the date, the word "Liberty," or even the motto, "In God We Trust." These doubled features are not easy to spot unless you know exactly what you're looking for, but if you do find one of these double die error pennies, you could be holding a coin worth far more than just 1 cent. Another error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned when it's struck, causing the design to appear misaligned or incomplete. On a 1993 penny, this could mean that part of Lincoln's image or the Lincoln Memorial is missing or shifted to one side. Off-center strikes are often seen as a sign of a minting mistake, and collectors love them because they're unique and can't be replicated. A 1993 penny with an off-center strike can easily be worth a lot more than face value, especially if the misalignment is significant. So, how much is a 1993 Lincoln penny worth? The value can vary depending on the condition of the coin and whether it has any minting errors. A typical 1993 penny, even in uncirculated condition, might be worth a few dollars, but if you have one with a rare error or in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could be looking at a much higher price tag. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for: how much is a 1993 Lincoln penny worth at its highest value? If you're lucky enough to find a 1993 penny with a rare error, or one that has been perfectly preserved in uncirculated condition, it could be worth as much as $33,000. Yes, you heard that right, $33,000. That's an incredible amount of money for a coin that started out as just 1 cent. So, the next time you come across a 1993 penny, don't just dismiss it as only a penny. Take a closer look, you might have a hidden gem on your hands. You never know, that coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Today, we've got a truly exciting topic that could change the way you think about everyday pocket change. If you've ever casually tossed a penny into your change jar, you might want to take a closer look at those coins because the 1970 Lincoln penny is far more valuable than you might have ever imagined. A penny that was once worth just 1 cent could now be worth thousands of dollars. Intrigued? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll find out exactly why this little coin from 1970 might be worth far more than its face value. First, let's take a step back in time and set the stage for the 1970s. The year 1970 was an interesting one in American history. The United States was amidst the tumult of the Vietnam War, and the political landscape was constantly shifting. Meanwhile, back at home, the U.S. Mint was hard at work producing a large quantity of coins to meet the growing demands of the country's economy. The 1970 Lincoln penny was one of the many coins minted that year, but over the decades, it's turned out to be far more intriguing to collectors than most people ever realized. At first glance, the 1970 Lincoln penny doesn't look much different from any other penny minted in the 1960s or 1980s. It still features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, as well as the classic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design had been in place since 1909, and the memorial itself had graced the reverse of the penny since 1959. But what makes the 1970 penny stand out isn't just its design, there's something much more interesting beneath the surface. Let's talk about the rarity of the 1970 Lincoln penny. The U.S. Mint produced a staggering number of pennies that year, with over 4.5 billion pennies struck in 1970. At first, this might make it seem like the 1970 penny is far from rare, and in many ways, it's not. However, rarity in coin collecting isn't just about how many coins were made. It's also about the condition of the coins and any unique features they might have. While most of the 1970 pennies that were minted have long since been worn down and circulated, a small fraction of them were carefully preserved and stored away. These uncirculated coins, free from the wear and tear of regular use, are significantly rarer than those that were heavily circulated. This is where the real value lies in the 1970 Lincoln penny. The ones that have been kept in pristine, uncirculated condition are the ones that collectors are after, and that's where you might find a hidden gem, but there's more to it than just condition. As any experienced coin collector will tell you, minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of collecting coins. These errors occur when the U.S. Mint makes a mistake during the coin production process, and they can turn an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after piece of history. The 1970 Lincoln penny is no exception when it comes to minting errors, and there are a few types of errors that could make this coin incredibly valuable. One of the most interesting errors found on the 1970 penny is the double die error. A double die occurs when the coin is struck twice by the die, causing the image to appear doubled or blurry. On the 1970 Lincoln penny, this could mean that parts of the design, such as the date or the inscription, Liberty, might appear slightly doubled. The double die error can be subtle, so it's important to look carefully when examining these coins. But if you find one with this error, you could be holding onto a very valuable coin. Another interesting minting error on the 1970 penny is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the striking process, causing part of the design to be missing or misaligned. An off-center strike can make the penny look incomplete or shifted to one side, which might seem like a defect to the untrained eye, but in the world of coin collecting, it's actually a very desirable feature. Off-center strikes are considered rare, and they can significantly increase the value of a coin like the 1970 Lincoln penny. So, what kind of price are we talking about for a 1970 Lincoln penny that's in excellent condition or has a rare minting error? Most 1970 pennies you come across will only be worth their face value of 1 cent, but if you're lucky enough to find one that's been well preserved or has a minting error, you could be looking at something worth thousands of dollars. The value of these pennies really depends on the rarity and condition, but a 1970 Lincoln penny in top condition can fetch a solid price in the collector's market. Now, here's the exciting part: how much could your 1970 Lincoln penny really be worth? If you have a 1970 penny in near mint or uncirculated condition, or perhaps one with a rare minting error, it could be worth as much as $37,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $37,000. That's right, a single 1970 penny could potentially be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it's in exceptional condition or if it has a rare error like a double die or off-center strike. It's incredible to think that a coin that once circulated as everyday change could now be worth such an astounding amount of money. If you've been holding onto a 1970 Lincoln penny, now might be the time to dig through your collection and take a closer look. So, the next time you find a 1970 penny lying around in your change jar or in your coin collection, remember to examine it carefully. What might seem like a simple coin could actually be a rare and valuable piece of American history, and who knows? You could have a coin worth thousands of dollars waiting for you. Today's video is for you. What if I told you that a simple penny, from the year 1981, could be worth a staggering amount of money? That's right, a 1981 Lincoln penny could be worth far more than its face value of just 1 cent. Keep watching because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this seemingly ordinary penny might be sitting on a small fortune. Let's take a step back in time to 1981. It was a year of change and challenges. The U.S. was in the midst of the early 1980s economic recession. President Ronald Reagan was entering his first year in office, and the world was watching as technology and culture started to shift into a new era. The year 1981 also saw the U.S. Mint continue its steady production of coins, including the familiar 1-cent Lincoln penny. Little did people know at the time, but some of these pennies would go on to be much more than just a piece of everyday currency. So, let's dive in and explore why the 1981 Lincoln penny is so intriguing. At first glance, the design of the 1981 Lincoln penny is nothing out of the ordinary. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's portrait, which has graced the penny since 1909. And, on the reverse side, we see the iconic Lincoln Memorial, which had been the standard reverse design since 1959. It's a familiar and classic design that's been part of American life for generations, but there's something deeper to this coin than just its image. The true value lies in its rarity and the condition of the coin, as well as some very interesting minting errors that could make this penny worth a small fortune. One of the first things to know about the 1981 Lincoln penny is that it wasn't a particularly rare coin in terms of how many were produced. In fact, the U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies that year, making them abundant in everyday circulation. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that every 1981 penny is created equal. The real value comes from the condition in which the coin has been preserved and whether it has any special characteristics that set it apart from the rest. Coins that were used frequently or spent regularly during the 1980s have likely been worn down, with scratches, discoloration, and other forms of damage. But the real treasures are the pennies that were carefully saved, uncirculated, and kept in pristine condition over the years. These pennies are much rarer than their worn counterparts and are highly sought after by collectors. So, if you have a 1981 Lincoln penny that looks like it just came off the minting press, you may have a real find on your hands, but that's not all. There's an even more exciting aspect of the 1981 penny that makes it incredibly valuable. If you're familiar with coin collecting, you know that minting errors are one of the most thrilling aspects of the hobby. Minting errors are when something goes wrong during the coin production process, resulting in a unique and sometimes valuable mistake. And the 1981 Lincoln penny is no stranger to these rare errors. One of the most valuable errors you can find on a 1981 penny is the double die error. This occurs when the coin die strikes the coin twice, causing the image to appear doubled. On the 1981 penny, this could mean a doubling of the date, the word liberty, or the phrase, "In God we trust." These doubled features are often subtle, and it takes a keen eye to spot them. However, if you find one of these double die errors, you're sitting on a coin that could be worth far more than the mere value of a penny. Another common error that can make a 1981 penny worth significantly more is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't aligned properly during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or shifted to one side. An off-center strike is a type of minting error that many collectors find especially fascinating because of how unique each one can be. The more off-center the design is, the more valuable the coin becomes. So, if you happen to find a 1981 penny with this error, it could significantly increase its value. Let's take a moment to break down the value of a 1981 Lincoln penny. As we've already established, most of the pennies from this year are still worth just 1 cent in their regular, circulated form. However, in the world of coin collecting, the value of a penny can skyrocket depending on its rarity, condition, and any potential minting errors. An uncirculated 1981 penny can already be worth a few dollars, but add a rare minting error like a double die or off-center strike, and you could be looking at a much higher price tag. Now, I know you're all wondering, just how much can a 1981 Lincoln penny be worth? If you're lucky enough to own one of these rare and well-preserved pennies, you could be looking at a value of up to $35,300. Yes, you heard that correctly, $35,300. That's an incredible amount of money for a coin that was once worth only 1 cent. So, the next time you come across a 1981 Lincoln penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, and you might just be holding a hidden treasure that could make you thousands of dollars richer. Before we wrap up, make sure to check your coin collection, your change jar, or any old pennies lying around the house. You never know what you might find. There could be a valuable 1981 Lincoln penny waiting for you. If you found this video helpful and informative, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss another coin discovery. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your coin hunting adventures.